for the Office Ladies podcast.
Okay.
Where we animated.
Yeah, I think you showed me that
we
one.
Animated portions of their podcast. So it was like showing, because they don't have, video of these things. It was like we animated the scenes they're talking about. So some of it was like stuff they talk about from the show. This is two of the actresses from the show talking about the show The Office. Mm-hmm. But a lot of it is just them talking about stuff that they did around just while they were friends.
We good? Rob Lynch, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We got the crew from the day we had you in, drawing everybody from the Frame Center.
Yeah, it looks cool with them all together.
Yeah, a little help from Tara over at Goss Photo. We just
nice.
I had her, just scan them so we could have those digital images to use on social media and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of cool things that people have shown, like a little over my head, but use them as like stickers on posts and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, to put them on top of other things.
Yeah. Maybe if Scott does a job or something that he's excited about, we could throw him on there or something. And I think it would just be fun. But I was thrilled with how this came out.
Oh,
and
thank you. Yeah,
it was a fun day for the.
It was fun. I had a lot of fun making them too. Everyone was like pretty into it, which is fun. And I think they all like look like themselves, so that's good.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think you can identify everyone. I think Max is missing his giant biceps, but
oh yeah, well yeah, I guess he should have held them up.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
That would make him easier to find. But aside from that, I think everyone was super recognizable, and we got a new addition too, so maybe we'll throw him right in the middle.
Yeah, sounds good.
So you're doing a lot of the events.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of events coming up that aren't necessarily caricature based. They're more like paint nights and stuff like that.
Yep.
Actually, a week from today, well, I don't know when this is going to go up, but on Wednesday, September 4th, I'm doing a Paint Your Pet. So I do a caricature version of your pet, and then like a sketch, and then you come and you paint over it basically on the paper that I've done it on.
So is that like you're prepping those before?
Yeah. People send in pictures after they buy a ticket, and then I do the sketch, and then at the event I give them the sketch with the paints that they need to color it in and stuff like that.
And you kind of walk them through it.
I go through the process, kind of explain the do's and don'ts of the kind of paints. I'm using water-based inks usually, so it's different than a standard paint night where you're using these like big acrylic paint brushes and stuff. It's a smaller scale thing, but it's basically showing people how I make stuff, and they make it on their own. And it's been, most of those have been pretty fun. So
well received. Where are you doing? Where's the one on the 4th?
That one's at Ryan's, the Ryan Family Amusements in Hanover Crossing. And I have 2 more of those. The one's at Stellwagen Beer in Marshfield, and that's on the 19th. And then a week after, at Indie Firm in Plymouth, that one's the 26th of September. That's actually a benefit for Safe With Us Animal Rescue. So some portion of the proceeds goes to support them.
Yeah, you told me before you like doing animals.
I love doing animal
combining
stuff.
Animals and people.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I like to draw. I just did one recently. I should have brought it with me. I didn't think of that. I did bring some other pieces. Maybe I might have some animals in there, but I like to the Paint Your Pet is your pet. It's sometimes they can be like anthropomorphized where they got like shirts or different. Some people ask for like themes, like there's Harry Potter themed ones or Star Wars themed ones, stuff like that, but usually it's just a straight up pet portrait, but they're cartoony. But I like to draw real people, like, but make them an animal. I'm looking here to see if I have an example of that.
Maybe when we have you come back, that's what we'll do with the team.
Yeah.
We'll morph them into animals.
I don't know, like I just when I've done them, it's just kind of like random people, but I don't know if people have like specific animals they, like they think of when they think of themselves.
Well, everyone wants to be like a lion or something.
Yeah,
right?
they want to be something cool, but most people aren't.
Didn't you say your wife gave you
Well,
one?
yeah. My wife, she first said that I was a sloth.
Yeah.
And then we changed it to turtle, I think. So that I like that one a little better.
Yeah, you can work with that one.
If I wanted to show this, do I put it like this way?
Just
Or
hold it up like a little bit higher.
like that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So like this is, like I think it's like a weasel or something.
Mhm.
I don't know, just, these little weird characters. This one is like a salamander. Yeah, they're just like, people, animals.
Yep.
And I just have fun with that. Like thinking of it just like how these animals become like, it's kind of like how we as humans personify animals, and it's kind of been a thing in art for a long time, but it's also very heavily used in cartoons. So
Yep.
it's, I don't know, it's just a fun thing to play with.
Now, is your background? Did you go to art school or?
Yeah, I went to Mass Art.
Mhm.
Graduated in 2007. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing art forever, really. And when I went to college, I studied all kinds of stuff. I had like my major, and anyone who's been to Mass Art knows about this, is what's called SIM, Studio for Interrelated Media. So
Mhm.
you can kind of like make up your own curriculum in a way. So I did animation, I did like sound art, sound design stuff.
Mhm.
I did some performance. I did some just straight up like drawing and stuff like that, like illustration. It's kind of all over the place. Where I've landed career-wise has been the animation,
Mhm.
drawing, cartoon world. But I did do sound design for several years after college,
Oh, no.
and I used to play music live. I don't do that much anymore.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's not. It's.
What did you play?
I either play guitar or like electronic instruments.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and that kind of ties into a little bit of another event I have coming up. I'm just going to show this to you.
Sure.
So I'm doing these. I'm calling it a pixel party.
Okay, I
It-
saw a couple
you
of
can
the
go
things
this
for
way.
those. I didn't know if that was just like a type of drawing, but it's more of like
It's
a sculpture.
It's a sculpture. So these are like basically like painted or dyed wooden blocks, and
Mhm.
you put them together. And in the event you can pick different characters. This is one I have with me.
Yep.
So obviously Mario, but so the music I used to make was 8-bit music, so it was like sounded like old video games, but I mix it with like rock and roll. So
Yeah.
I kind of have like a background in like that kind of thing. I haven't done it much lately, but I started playing with these over the summer.
Mhm.
I taught at a camp, and we made some little toys out of blocks, and I was like, oh, this could be cool to do like a pixel thing. So,
So is that? Have you done one of those yet, or is that like a?
no, I have the first one is on the 15th of September in Medfield at Seventh Wave Brewing,
Mhm.
and then I have on the 20th at Barrel House C in Weymouth.
Nice.
I'm doing that too.
Yeah, you've done a lot of stuff with those guys.
Barrel House, yeah. I have a lot come up with them this fall. I have like 2 a month basically from October to December.
And do people just go on their site, your site, to find out
My
about
site,
them?
which my site is roblynch.com. That's
Mhm.
that's where I sell all my tickets. But if you're a follower of them, you'll see it pop
They'll-
up. And
yeah, they'll
it'll be on
push
their
it out there.
calendar. But this is a new thing I just started, so I just kind of had fun with it, see where it goes.
Yeah.
But-
Like I said, I saw an ad or something, or maybe like in one of your stories
Yeah,
on Instagram
yeah.
or something.
yeah.
And it, I was like, oh, that's different. But I was envisioning it being
Oh, like a 2D
like an
thing.
illustration. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
like
Yeah,
you
I
would-
wasn't sure how to get across the idea that they're 3D objects.
Mhm.
So I have to do a little bit more.
Yeah. Once you
work
get,
there.
I'm sure that once you get the first one done.
Yeah.
And you maybe use like that 3D
Yeah.
camera or do something. It'll.
Yeah, and I think it's also the kind of thing where sorry, I lost my train of thought. I can't think of like what I was gonna say now. Yeah, once I do a few of them, but also like I was trying to like think of other things I can do that aren't just 2D
Video game.
drawings,
Yep.
but like kind of fit still in like a cartoon aesthetic. That's
Yeah.
kind of like where everything comes from, like doing, I don't know, things that are simplified in the cartoon world. So
Yeah, so you're doing these, event type nights, and then you doing a lot of animation stuff as well? Or?
I haven't been doing as much lately, but I still do it here and there. Yeah, it's kind of been like a shift in the last couple of years. I used to be like the only thing I would do is animation, and I was always, working from home behind a computer. So now it's like flipped, where a lot of stuff I do is I'm doing traditionally drawn art, and I go out to these events and show other people how to do it, and I like that a lot, going out and doing things like that. It's been nice to have that change of pace, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's two different worlds, right? Sitting in front of a computer by yourself,
I do really like animating, and I do miss certain parts of it, but there's always pros and cons to all kinds of types of work you do.
Well, you did the two videos for us,
mhm.
which I think are great. We'll
Thanks.
we'll throw some links to those in the
Cool.
in the end.
Yeah.
But those, I have that whole vision, and still there's more of them that I want to put together. So once you get back into the animation mode, maybe we'll figure out what ones to do.
Yeah, it's
But who
always
else
like,
do you do those sort of things for?
I'm trying to think. That's been probably the most recent ones, was doing the ones for you guys. And I used to do a lot of web series stuff, so like things that would show up on like Comedy Central's like YouTube page. I did the whole thing for the Office Ladies podcast,
Okay.
where we animated.
Yeah, I think you showed me that
we
one.
animated portions of their podcast, so it was like showing, because they don't have video of these things. It was like we animated the scenes that they're talking about. So some of it was like stuff they talk about from the show. This is the two of the actresses from the show talking about the show The Office. But a lot of it is just them talking about stuff that they did around just while they were friends on the show, and they'd so it's just silly stories that they have, and we'd find the good ones and put them together, these little episodes.
How did they find you for that? Is that
So I used to work for this company a lot, Cartoona, out of New York. And I was just kind of like, when they were doing a lot of those, like I was working with them a lot. But as far as I can tell, the animation industry has kind of shifted the last couple of years, where unfortunately
AI or
not AI, but just I don't actually know the underlying reasons. I just know that a lot of projects have been canceled, and I think there's a trickle-down effect to people like me who I'm not working on like big TV productions or movie productions, but it affects everything in the industry, I think. And
they stopped some of those, right? Then the people that were doing those, start doing something else.
Yeah, and I think it really had an uptick during COVID, because people didn't want to be on location making videos or anything like that. So there was like a lot of stuff to do then, and now that people started getting back to doing live video things, I think it was just kind of an adjustment. So there was like a huge influx of it for a little bit, and then
Bubble
kind of burst a little bit. So, and then for me, kind of just shifting gears to trying other stuff. I was already doing caricature work during all of this going on, just not as often. So I was like, well, I'll just lean into that now. And then that moved into doing these paint night events. And so now it's like I've spent all this time building up that part of my business. I don't have a huge need to go back to doing animation full time, even though it's not something I'm opposed to going back into.
You can make it now. It can be it'd be a project you want to be a part of. Right? Opposed to like a paycheck.
Kinda, and it's more like a balance of like, well, I can do that, but I have to balance it with other stuff going on. The good thing about what I'm doing now is like I make up my schedule entirely. If I tomorrow got like a big animation gig, I could be like, well, I'm taking a few months off from doing paint nights, but I don't plan to do that. But that could happen if I wanted to do that. I mean, in the summer, like for example, I wasn't doing any events just because I had other stuff to work on.
Yep.
And summer's a time when no one's around anyway.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll switch gears for the summer.
Now, are you teaching at South Shore still, or at South Shore Arts Center? Or?
Not currently. I did teach there last winter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's teaching at places like around. It kind of comes and goes depending on
how they fill up their schedules.
Scheduling for both me and them, and
the interest in people signing up for the classes as well, I imagine.
Yeah, it's like I think a lot of the places, so like South Shore Arts Center or rec centers around, they run classes. Sometimes they don't fill up, so they actually have to cancel them. Or, but for a lot of it has to do with my schedule a lot because just two kids and just having to plan other events. It's hard to do like a weekly class when you have things that are kind of just like put in different parts of your week every week. Like my week's like always completely different. Yeah. So it's hard to plan like that sometimes.
No, I hear you. I run into the same problem every week with how am I going to get all these things done?
Yeah.
Based on deliveries, schedules, and what kid has to go where.
It's always a list of like just things, and you have to get to the ones that are most important, and then you always have these ones at the bottom that are just kind of always sitting there or take so long to get to.
Now, you had you been entering a lot of shows prior, or is that a relatively new?
Prior to what? What do you mean?
Oh, well, I feel like I saw you. Like I hadn't seen a lot of your work.
Oh, okay.
And then I started. Maybe it's like I focused in and I saw it because the one at the James caught my attention. Yeah. And you had the QR code. I think it was like a fish head type of guy, and he was running.
Yeah. So similar to the animal concept. So it was called Herring Run. And it was a bunch. It was one fish in the front in a running pose with a bunch of fish behind him, and then next to it was a QR code, and you could scan it, and it would play an animated loop of those herring running. So the idea just came from going to the actual herring run in Middleborough, I think was where the one I went to, and I don't know, I just thought it was funny.
It was attention, and I thought it was like a cool way to incorporate the QR code, like the animated video. Everyone's got a phone, right?
Exactly. So. Yeah, I had that idea for a little while, and then I was like, just tried to find a way to implement it. And I did another one of those that was in. Actually, saw the flyer here was that Jaws inspired show.
Oh yeah. Kel's
and that was similar, where it was a QR code, but that was like a shark guy. Sitting by the beach. He's just looking at an ice cream cone. So,
is that something you intend to keep?
I do I liked doing those, so I would like to do more. But they do take a little bit longer to do than just like I have to draw the piece and then figure out how to animate it afterwards. But I guess to answer your question before, I hadn't really been entering anything into local art shows. Like really ever. Until like 2 years ago. So it is kind of new for me, I guess.
Okay, so it wasn't that I was just missing your work. So,
and it wasn't that I was, getting like denied everywhere. I just wasn't entering. So
when you enter those ones with the QR code, just because I don't think anybody else around here is doing anything like that. Is there people confused, or do they?
I don't think so.
Do they just think it's a QR? Yeah.
Because it had a little explanation on it, so I think, I don't know. I wasn't there during the opening or anything, so I don't know. I didn't see like a lot of people trying it. I did have that same piece at another show, and I think I kind of had to like nudge people to do it.
Do you see analytics from that, like how many people click on it?
No, I don't have that info. I don't, because it's just through my like web hosting service, and I don't have that part set up. I guess I could potentially look on. It's set up through like Vimeo, so I guess I could try to.
Yeah, just be interesting to see like if you do a show, like how many people actually. Do it.
But now someone like owns that piece, so I don't know if I could see if they do it at home all the time or something.
Someone bought
someone bought that one. Yeah, actually both the shark one too. But yeah, I was actually thinking about this the other day, is how to incorporate the QR codes like more into the piece. Right now, the ones I did, they're just pieces of paper that were like below the piece. I thinking like someone wants to hang out in their house, they maybe don't want to have that, but I kind of like the idea of it all being.
Yeah, no, I
contained.
think that's kind of a cool concept, especially if you like, you I don't know if you mask it somehow, or so it's
Mhm.
not like a distraction from the artwork.
Yeah. I saw another artist who does. I hadn't really seen anyone doing that until after I did it, so
Yep.
I probably had the idea, at the same time as someone else.
Yeah.
But another guy does them, and he actually animates them frame by frame, so you can buy like one
Oh.
of the frames, and each of the frames like on the side has the QR code. So that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, that's
like,
an interesting.
or some people I've seen, they do like a print, and it's all the frames,
Mhm.
and then it has the same thing, the QR code. Yeah, or there's ones that I think you can actually do like a AR thing, like augmented reality, where the image, like you put your phone at it, like moves.
No kidding.
But I think you need to have a certain app for that. So I didn't want to put a barrier between people and their technology. Just
Yep.
going.
Yeah,
into it.
I remember seeing the one at the James, and it just was like, oh, this is and it took me a second too to like figure it out too,
Mhm.
because I was like, and I'm like still relatively new to QR codes,
Yeah.
at the time, and I'm going, oh, gee, well, what's he gonna do if
Yeah.
what I
I think like a few years ago, that would have been like people would have just been confused, but now QR codes are like everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot more known like how to use them. Like it used to be you have to like have a certain program, and now you just put your phone
yeah,
up to
your
it.
camera. Yeah,
I
no,
don't-
we started to put them in, and I was thinking about starting to use them on like all of the artwork, or like
Yeah.
an explanation to like direct people from, you see the name of the artist in the QR code right there, so it goes right to their page on our our website.
Yeah. I mean, I had considered other ways to turn animation into art pieces, and I was like, well, usually you watch it on a screen, but it was like, how do you get a screen like to hang and power it and everything? And then I just started thinking, well, everyone has a screen in their pocket, so let's just use that screen. So I think
Yeah, you're gonna get to a point where the art on the wall is just the QR codes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Just enter a QR code in the show. See
Yeah.
how that goes.
yeah. I'm not sure how that would be interesting to most people, but you never know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you got to push the envelope with
Yeah,
art sometimes,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
That would be an interesting show to put together.
yeah. The QR code show where everything's just the QR code.
Yeah. Oh, we got some excess walls here, so if
Okay.
you want to try it sometime,
Sounds good.
you just have to find a way to make the QR codes attractive, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do with them, really. They just look like I'm just gonna have some water.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just look like dots.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you can't mess with them too much because then they won't work. That's kind of the problem with the QR codes. I like to I find a way to make them, to pretty them up, I guess. But
Yeah.
if you mess with them too much, then they don't work. They have to be like contrasted, and you can put an image in the middle, but you can't put anything around
Yeah.
the dots or anything.
Yeah, we had then you had the Lost in Translation piece at the
Yeah.
at South Shore.
I think
I like that one.
I have that with me, actually. I can see the back of it right here.
Yeah, that was a.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, so I did two of these, actually. I don't know if I have the other one with me, but this is, one of the scenes from the movie Lost in Translation. The show was called that. It
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily, I don't think, based on the movie, but that's what I immediately thought of, so
Yeah.
I went for it. I did another one that was him sitting on the bed
Sitting
in
on
his
the bed,
bathrobe. I think this was the one that was in this show, though. Yeah, I don't see the other one in here. I hope to enter some more work into. I know there's some upcoming shows both at the James and Social Arts Center
Yep.
and other places. So hopefully I'll get some more work in there.
Some more work in,
Yeah.
incorporate the QR codes.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'd love to do.
Mhm.
I have a few more ideas that I need to finish to use those. So
Nice. Now, did you do some design work too when you were at Mass Art? Because we were talking earlier about your logo, which I'm a big fan of.
oh, thanks. design stuff is just kind of like a thing I've learned on my own, I guess.
Yep.
I've never took any real design courses, but I think I'm not going to say that everyone who's an artist can be a designer, but I think if
Yeah, but you usually have a design sense.
you have a visual sense of things, you can usually figure it out to some degree, and the more you do it, the more you learn stuff like that. So, yeah, I've just kind of learned that stuff on my own, and then I think sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, your logo is cool. When did you put that together? Just
I'm trying to remember when I first started working on it, like a while before I like put it out there.
Yeah.
I was mostly worried about legibility because it doesn't. It's it says my name, but it's also like all like squished together, and it's like the idea behind it was that it was drawn like how I draw people, or my characters. So it's got these kind of like rounded, like you can see my stuff here. It's like they're straight lines, but they're like kind of curved, and they come to a point, and they're not, they're kind of angular, but also kind of like a little soft as well. So the idea was to make that logo look like how I draw stuff.
Yeah.
So it took a while to figure that out, but also make it look like you could read it. So I had to like show it to a bunch of people, like, can you tell what this says?
Yeah.
But I think people get it. At least they can read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked on that for a while. I think I had a different version that was same idea but different lettering. But I settled on the one I had.
Now, do you, when you do the some of the paint nights, do you go into businesses and draw entire teams like this, or was that a different?
I've done other. I haven't done it quite like this, where like where they wanted me to draw every person that worked there. But I've done other work parties where there's coworkers that are
they just
there,
come in,
but it's usually more like a party atmosphere. So like I've done like a conference party, after party kind of thing. Then like some holiday parties. So, and a lot of times people want to be together in a picture. So like yours are all individual, almost like employee headshots.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people want to be like they're them and a friend together, or sometimes their spouse shows up, so it's like their family picture.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the ones I've done more for companies. But it's not. I would like to do more where it's like, this is like our team.
Yeah.
And
maybe we'll commission you to take all these people and put them in front of the Frame Center sign.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, something interesting. I think it's it is a fun way. I think that maybe at some point the headshots they'll find their way to the website. I just feel like there's so many fun uses for for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes people aren't super comfortable with their pictures taken, or but they seem more comfortable with the using of a cartoon.
A cartoon version. Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, that's what I do too with my all my profile pictures are just cartoon drawings of myself because I'd rather that than my own real face.
Well, it's a fun way to introduce the art into a place that focuses on art.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what about any festivals or anything like that? Is that I've seen you doing the drawings up at the fourth floor when they had the
well, fourth floor artists. So I'm currently the president, which I'll be for the rest of this year. But then we have our fall open studios. It's always the weekend before Thanksgiving. I forget the exact dates, but that weekend, the one before Thanksgiving. So I'll definitely be at that. I'm usually there every fall and spring, and then.
I think that's where I first met you. I was up there with Elizabeth, and you did.
I did draw you up there.
You drew the two of us when we were
that,
up there getting some social media.
I couldn't remember if that was where we actually met or not, but I do remember drawing you guys there.
We might have met. We might have crossed paths prior to that, or But I think that was the first time when I get to sit down and talk with you.
And I don't know. I'm trying to think. I am doing something in Hingham. I think it's. What is that called? There's a Hingham art festival thing where they're having.
Oh, is that the studio tour? Or where? the art walk. And,
I think it's
and
the art
like
walk.
the businesses.
Yes,
There's artists
exactly.
in like a lot of the
Yeah,
places.
Hingham Art Walk where so they're pairing artists with businesses. So
Yep.
I think the idea is that I think it's downtown Hingham. So I think you
Yep.
walk around. I don't have my pairing yet. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's in October. And then I always do a bunch of I wouldn't call them festivals, but like markets around the holidays. So
Yep.
I'll be at a bunch of places when that comes up.
When you set up camp and with the paints, I mean,
I'll be there.
A lot of people want to.
Yeah, I'll be there doing usually people's portraits or pet portraits, stuff like that, but like on the spot generally. But because it's the holidays, some people come through and they have an idea they want someone done, so I'll basically like take a commission while I'm there
Yep.
and send it to them later. Yeah.
Do you feel like there's, just with all like the AI type of stuff that's out there, is that something that you're competing with, or do you feel like that once you're talking to someone and they're seeing you do it?
I think it's too early. I don't know. People are definitely. I mean, artists in general, I think, are a little freaked out and scared of AI stuff, and it's warranted to some degree.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think it's a little early to say like how much it's gonna like, take over or take jobs away or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think most people still. I mean, right now you can still tell the difference.
Yeah.
Even in like really good AI, is like something off about it. It's
Mhm.
like that uncanny valley kind of thing where it looks too like real or something sometimes, or
Yep.
it's something's just like strange about it. But I think that most people still like art has always been about human experience and
Mhm.
human creativity. So like to take that part out of art, I think people like can tell when that's gone.
Yeah.
And maybe in the instance that you
Doesn't
see
have a soul.
yeah, when the instance that you see an image, like, oh, that's cool, but like, if you look closer, like, well, what is it though? Like, you can, if it's lacking something, and I think, especially when people see you do it live, I think that
That adds
whether
to it.
whether that impresses someone or not, like, but they get excited about seeing someone work on something, and
Yeah.
seeing a computer just spit it out, it's not really, it loses its appeal very quickly. When you can just type in anything and stuff comes out.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's never
Scan a picture of yourself, turn me into a cartoon.
Exactly,
It doesn't- yeah.
It's just becomes lifeless, and I think right now a lot of people are aware of that, even people that aren't artists. I don't know, that's how I feel about it right now, but I haven't, it's hard for me to say if it's affected my business or not. No one's come to me and said like, oh, well, I'm not going to hire you. I can get this cheaper by just typing in something on Google and getting an image back.
Well, I think personally, I think a big part of it is the experience too, right? Like talking to you, seeing
Exactly,
you doing it, and, you're with somebody and you have it done. Or you're at an event and it's it's supporting you and it's supporting the the cause or whatever the event is.
Yeah,
in a sense.
I mean, I think people who generally go to local markets or open studios, stuff like that, they like supporting local art and local business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like, that's why they're there, is to do that. They're not going to be like, oh, well, that's cool, but I'll just do it at home.
Yeah, good idea.
I'll get
the cheaper version.
Yeah. So I think they're okay. Like, I mean, even if they could just do it for free or cheap with like AI, I don't think that's like what they're after.
Yep.
And also like, I try to, promote myself with a certain like aesthetic that you can't get from another human. You can't get it from a computer program. So I'm hoping that's part of the reason why people hire me to do stuff, is because they appreciate that aesthetic.
Yeah.
That you can't replicate with anything. And that's, I think, a lot of reasons why people like the art they like anyways, because it's unique. You can't make the same thing.
Yeah, I think the people that you're losing are, I think about this sort of thing on a regular basis in like art and trying to promote art. I think that sometimes it's like the people that you lose weren't the customers anyway, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's possible.
It's outside of that market.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing in the sense because it brings people in and they see something and then they, and then they get a feel, and then when they notice what the difference is, they they lean towards the better version,
Yeah.
even if it's got a bigger cost. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, you can't see the difference between this custom framed piece and this like junky frame that you bought at a big box store. When they're done, like, go with the cheap one, because if you don't see the difference, like, you're just thinking I'm overpriced, and I don't want that. If you don't appreciate quality or like what we're doing, like, that's cool. Like,
just get it. Yeah, go for what you need.
But when you have people at your house and they see it, they're like, what?
Yeah.
Maybe go hang that up, and when people say something to you down the road, I'm still going to be here, and you can get it redone.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has different levels of what they perceive as good or bad or aesthetically pleasing or not.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like make someone like agree with your sensibilities, or so just let them decide on their own. And if they prefer or don't know, can't tell the difference.
Oh, well, you want everyone to be happy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the bigger kind of AI implications are going to be more towards like career-oriented artists and art fields. So like CGI stuff. I don't think it's there yet.
What's CGI stuff?
Computer-generated images. So like,
okay.
the big budget action movies, superhero films. Those are big giant movie studios who are looking for any way to cut down costs, and they're not looking to make like art films or anything. So like they don't necessarily care about like every detail of like which like visual artists or designer worked on this part, and those usually have large teams of.
Yeah, we had a guy in that is like a prop master.
Oh,
and, like,
okay.
does that stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, which is an art, and you wonder when those type of things start coming out if people will notice the difference, or if they'll
I don't know. I mean, already right now, I think for decades there's been a huge difference in movies with the heavy use of computer generated images, and which you could see as good or bad depending on what you like.
Yeah.
But there has been some directors and movie makers who have kind of went back to doing more traditional, what they call practical effects, stuff like that. So I don't know. It's the same thing where like some people like really like, they don't care if it looks like real or whatever, because even CGI stuff doesn't look real. It's still, you can still tell that it's not there. It's the same way with the AI. It's like you can tell that it's not, something's off about it. So when they start introducing that into CGI, I don't know. I think that's more people's worry, though, is that who are in those industries, that they're going to lose work or jobs over it because they're just going to.
Well, the animation stuff, I wonder about. Like, could you just take a video and say, "Hit make"?
I think for that style of animation, where it's supposed to look real, like, and there's supposed to be a lot going on, and there's a lot of content out there that looks like it. So I think the AI is trained on pre-existing things.
Yep.
So when there's already a lot of things out there that look like that, and you just want to make another one, that's when it becomes like, you just, I don't know. I mean, it's not quite that simple where you can just type it in, but you can train it to do certain things without having to get someone to figure out each thing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how all that works too, and like the copyright law.
Copyright laws currently, like up in the air, I think.
Yeah.
I think currently you can't own a copyright on an AI generated image.
Yeah.
But that might change. I don't know.
Well, then you wonder if you try to sell an AI image and it's too close to something that's already
it's weird because right now you can sell them, but you could technically sell anyone's AI image because no one owns them.
Yeah.
Like if you made one, I could sell it, and you couldn't say anything about it because you don't own it.
But what if I made what if I made something that was a likeness of something that you did?
Well, that's what.
Is that when you start to?
I think right now the laws aren't. They're hazy, and I think you could make a case that you stole my work.
Yeah.
The issue is that it's hard to track down where it's getting its information from. So like, 'cause it's all buried in these like long.
Blame it on the AI.
Yeah. But some artists have said like, their signature has been like in some of those.
Oh, really?
Final images, and like, well, clearly it's stolen from my stuff. My signature's on it, so Yeah, I mean, I think people should have the right to at least keep their work out of those large image databases, or if they see their work being stolen like that, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it's gonna be a whole new set of problems for someone to straighten out, I suppose, right?
at some point, I just don't know. Usually, the people that are the ones affected by this are the ones that have the least amount of power in the
Yeah.
the way it's working. Like the ones running the companies that are going to pay for all this technology, I don't think necessarily care about copyrights until they get in trouble for it.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that that's probably the case.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it doesn't affect you. Yeah.
I'm not worried about it
Yeah.
personally.
Until they get an AI guy teaching the classes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not concerned for other people, or just overall, use of it as far as like changing the way people perceive images. But
Yep.
I don't think it's like currently a direct threat towards like all artists or anything. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, again, I think some of it is, a person wouldn't buy a certain painting or a certain photograph, but if they can get it for free, or a likeness to it, maybe,
Like you said, it's not a lost customer anyway.
Yeah.
They weren't going to pay for it. So, yeah.
yeah, who knows? I mean, hopefully there's a positive on it, that it brings more eyes on art, or
There are positives to it. I mean, if you are a working artist, like in those fields, it will make your job easier to an extent. But you just wonder, like, I don't know. I think it's going to be a thing people are going to have to adapt to if that becomes the case. I mean, there was a time before digital art existed, and now it's way easier to make images than it was 50 years ago, because you can just do it more quickly on a computer, and people had to adapt to that.
Yeah.
I don't know that really made jobs go away, and so much as had to shift what people had to learn to do them.
Yeah.
So I think that's the concern. I think is more that people are going to like be, pushed out of those jobs because the computer can just do it for them.
Yeah.
I think this is like a meme I've seen going around that I think is kind of pinpoints the things that's kind of off right now about. I think people focus on AI images because it's like, oh, cool, it can just do that. But like, that meme is basically like, I want AI to like do my dishes and clean the house. I don't want it to like make art. That's the thing. That's the thing. I want to do those things. I don't want it to make art for me. I like making art. I don't want it. I want it to like do the stuff I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I think where we got to think about like how we can get AI to do.
You're gonna have to send me that meme.
Yeah, I think I've seen a few different versions of it. So, but like, yeah, we need it to do the figure out the things that we don't want to figure out. Like, let's just focus on the things we like doing. And but I guess some people really do enjoy making the AI art. I don't know.
I mean, I've played around with some of the stuff with a friend of mine before, and we like you hit the button, but it's like sifting through a bunch of
because it never comes out how you want.
Yeah.
So you have to.
It's interesting to see it, to create something, but it's not exactly what you have in mind, and there is I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not. I think for most people, most artists. I don't think it's the process that usually you go through to make something. Like, it's usually like this building up of an idea. Like you don't just think of the idea and then there you finished it. Like there's a internal process and an external building of the thing or painting, whatever of the art piece that.
Yeah, well, I think
happens.
it's like that. It's what's behind it, right? Like I have like this whole thing about like the stories behind artwork, and like that being an important piece. And if the story behind it is, well, I pressed a button and it generated this, it's like, well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Opposed to like a story behind like, oh, well, this photographer, found this photograph. It was a snowy day in front of this building, and she went out and she snapped the shot, or like. This person was over there and their eyes have actually seen it, and they know what that was like that day. It was like, same thing with the artwork, or like a paint. Same thing with a painting. You have this, years of experience and why you did this and
Mm-hmm.
you know what it is and what it meant to the artist. You know, I don't think you can replicate that, but hopefully, you know, like we were saying earlier, you can feel the soul in the real thing and not in the fake one.
Yeah, that's the thing people like about art, I think, is, yeah, like you're saying, the story behind it. Even if it's something like an abstract piece, like there's still something that happened to make that exist. It isn't just like, it's not just paint thrown on a thing for no reason. It's someone's idea that came out of them, and yeah, there's like no other way to make that kind of thing. I don't know. I think anyone who likes art, I think, sees that in art when they see real art. That's why you look at it. That's why you enjoy it. Yeah.
It'll be interesting at some point. Though, I'm sure that you know people will have to look and try to like decipher which one of these is fake or
That's also, I mean, for me, even before this kind of, I don't know, the whole like AI thing became popular or was even like possible to make anything that looked even close to real art. Like I had started shifting more towards doing traditional on paper stuff. Like, part of it was from doing caricatures, but even before that, I just kind of like got a little tired of being on my computer making art all the time. So I was trying to get more into traditional illustration and stuff like that. And I think that's a big thing too, is like when you have something that's like in front of you, not to like downgrade digital art, but like I don't know, I really enjoy looking at things that use like real materials. And
sometimes the mistake is the thing that makes it too, right?
Yeah, you can't always undo things on paper or canvas or in clay or whatever. Like, I mean, there's ways to fix things, but sometimes you just have to let things be. And I mean, the way I work, I tend to work small and quickly, so I just kind of let things, like the chaos, kind of just like be there. Even it's controlled chaos, but there's things that you just don't know that they're going to happen until they do. But seeing things on paper or canvas or just like real things in front of you that someone like literally put there, whether it's a brush or by hand or whatever, I think that's, to me, more exciting than looking at it on a screen. Or printed out. I mean, like I said, not to say that there's no validity in digital art or looking at things that way or printing them out, stuff like that. But I don't know, something about the physical nature of real like pigments and
coming from
touch.
being handmade. I think they 100%.
I don't know if they'll someday have a robot that can do all that, but
maybe
just tell the robot to make me a beautiful piece of art, and it will just do it for you.
Nice. So I mean, the website's got everything for it. Where people can find you, contact you.
My like front page is all the events, and then you can go in there and you can find my email and stuff in there if you need to contact me.
RobLynch.com.
RobLynch.com.
That seems like it would be a hard domain name to get your hands on.
It's for many years it was taken, and then I used to periodically check like every year or so. And then one year it was there for sale, and I was like, I'm gonna go for it.
No kidding.
And it wasn't even that expensive. I was surprised it wasn't like, because it's a super common name.
Well, I mean,
and I think whoever owned it previously just used it as like a personal website. And I think they had owned it for a long time, like since early internet days. I used to have robertpatricklynch.com, which, it's a little longer, and I don't go by that name.
I think being an animator, cartoon guy, I think Rob Lynch, short and sweet, I think is a better fit.
My email is still robertpatricklynch at Gmail, but
it'd be tough to fit that into the logo, right?
I mean, I guess some people I think it's more like an author thing to like use like a longer name or like an initialed name. But yeah, as a cartoonist, I think just having a shorter, just Rob Lynch is better. And it's just that's how I've always gone by that. So I never use my like full name like that. So
awesome. Well, I'm a fan of your stuff. Clearly, we've had you here.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll figure out a way to incorporate some sort of event. Maybe I'll take a poll downstairs, see if everyone wants to get their pets.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I'm interested to see how everyone would turn out if you know,
if they were animals.
Yeah, morphed into animals.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if people will want me to decide or if they would want to tell me who they want to be.
I'll take a poll.
Okay. Because
We'll take a poll with the public. We'll
I
see
don't
who.
want to offend anyone with picking the wrong animal.
Maybe I'll just have to go first and then
Okay. Yeah.
set the tone.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was definitely like a fun event for me. You know, good content to
Hmm.
you know to have and to put out there and be used. I think down the road.
Yeah.
So I would advise it for other places. And I'm sure the events are fun. I mean, I'm sure those a lot of them seem like breweries, right?
Usually they're at breweries or restaurants. So yeah, people are generally having a good time. It's not meant to be like a class where I'm like to do it this way or like you have to like have
You're not laying
you
down
don't really
the
have to
law.
have any art skills really, as long as you can just follow
coloring,
basic
right?
directions in color with a paintbrush. You're good. Yeah, it's not difficult.
When you do the drawings, does anyone ever reject them or make you redo them?
Like of themselves?
Yeah.
That
Doesn't look anything like me.
No one's ever made me redo anything. You get different reactions. I've had people not say like, "Oh, this is bad," but you can tell that they're not
Thrilled.
excited.
This
Or
is
like,
what I look like.
yeah, or like I think sometimes people don't, for whatever reason, didn't understand like what it was gonna be. So like they see it like, well, it doesn't look like me. Like, well, yeah, it doesn't look like you. I mean, you're a real person. So I don't know. It doesn't. In a way, it doesn't. These look at anybody. Like they're cartoon characters. But
Yep.
on the other side, it was almost. I don't know. You could think of it like it's the distilled version of them. Like
Yeah.
just the parts that make you think of that person. So. But I've had the other end where people are like, "Oh, this is amazing," and so I like you gotta have to take all reactions.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you you've been an artist for a long time, you kind of get used to people not liking your stuff sometimes. So it's just part of it.
Learn to deal with rejection.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming by. I hope people will check out some of your stuff. I
Yeah.
hope, like I said, hopefully we'll have you back for some sort of, event at the Frame Center maybe. Maybe
Cool.
we'll get you around the holidays or something. And, we'll certainly get these things up on the wall at some point so
That'd be
everyone
great.
can see some of your work in progress. I just think that'll be a fun one, too, for our customers to
Mhm.
come in and see and be like, oh, that
Because they know those people too.
yeah, in a better way to like sometimes even put somebody's name to it. And like,
Mhm.
that's Tanya with the green hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
But awesome. I appreciate you coming by. I hope people will check out your stuff and maybe we'll get rolling on another animated video
Yeah,
of how to
Cartoon Dave again.
Cartoon Dave hanging stuff.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you asking me to come in.
Yeah, well, no,
with
I like what you're doing, and
Cool.
it's unique, and I think that people should definitely see it. I hope to see more QR codes. Maybe maybe when you
They'll
nail down
definitely-
that QR codes, we can stick some up on a wall.
Yeah.
It's
There'll
people-
definitely be more coming. I just don't know exactly when.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Rob.
Yep.